What's up? What up, everybody? It's the People's Realtor, Realty Ryan, and the main man,
Romano, the Realtor.
Yes, sir. And this is the Perspective Podcast. We are back at it again.
Yep.
We're actually lacking a little bit because we missed last week, right?
Yeah, I think we're down. I think we owe the people an episode and a half.
There you go. Okay,
We
so
owe
we're
y'all
gonna
an
have to get
episode
on
and
it.
a half.
So, and we're also going to do that live in approximately 2 weeks. I think that's Wednesday, August 13th. Look out for us around the 6 p.m. time. That's usually when we get it started. We're going to be starting that episode to highlight that $100 gift card.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for questions and comments concerning real estate, financial literacy, or just the uplifting of the inner city community. And whoever can, bring some input to the table, we're going to put you in a raffle and we're going to give away $100. So I hope it's not just one person, as we want to get some good information out there to everyone. And you can't do it if you don't have a nice jar to pick from.
Right. So, enter the jar. Put your name in the bucket. We'll choose from the bucket, and you'll get you 100 beans.
Word. And we're not monetized. We're doing this out of us.
Of course, we're not doing this in sponsorship with anyone. But hey, if you're a lender partner, attorney partner, or any other partner we got, and you want to join this raffle giveaway, it's always a choice. We will facilitate. If you want to join in with the good energy we're trying to spread, it's an option.
Right.
We'll help you out by giving your money away to all of our great audience members.
Yeah.
They're fire. They are fire and future clients.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah. No, we appreciate you, future clients. The future homeowners of the world or renters
Of the world.
But
We're not going to go there yet. What we been up to, Romano?
I know the last episode we were kind of like hovering over what we were going to be doing. One of them was Alex's wedding. That was fire.
Shout out to Alex.
Alex is
Congratulations.
congrats, man. You the Black Shah Rukh Khan.
You are
I
stupid.
hope I said that right. That's what this man put on his Facebook
Yeah, he
post.
did.
Man say
Did he mean
Yo.
ethnic black, or he meant like black wardrobe, or?
I mean, technically he ethnically black. He like half African, half majority Indian.
I didn't know that, I guess.
Because of
Diana.
because of the country and the way like immigration worked for him.
So he's saying he's recognizing the African roots.
Yeah.
Behind that's lit. Shout out to you, Alex. It's some fakers out there. I've seen the conversations. I've been a part of it. One of the funniest I could think of is I was on my way to work one time.
Yeah.
And a young Jamaican kid and an older dude was arguing about like what they were. And the older guy was saying he was Jamaican and that he basically he wasn't African.
Oh.
And the younger guy was telling him like, bro, you're African. So then here I come, which I was just honored that I was chosen to be in the conversation, as I usually can barely even get the pass.
Yeah.
So I was happy to be asked, and I obviously said that we were all African. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even me.
Yeah.
So
To a percentage wise, most of us is from Africa.
right.
All of us is from Africa. All of us are from Africa.
That's where it started.
That's
From
where
motherland.
we started. I just can't see that shit working out from wherever we started till fully developing human society in the cold northern countries. I can't see it. It's difficult, but life finds a way.
Yeah.
Even in volcanoes, life finds a way.
Yes.
I love me some nature documentaries. That's why I went a little crazy there.
Oh, that's lit.
Had a little busted wide open. Like I'm saying, interesting animal is I was gonna say the sea otter, but I don't know any sea otter facts. I just think their name is funny. They're interesting animals. That's all I'm saying.
I really thought you was about to drop something real fast.
I was rushing.
He was tweaked out when he was watching that History Channel. Obviously, all he saw was the pictures and he soaked none of the information in it. That's fine. That's neither here nor there. We were able to get some nature. The weekend before last.
Oh,
Took our, brokerage outing, quarterly outing.
We also did that. It was Alex's wedding, and then we had our quarterly outing to Block Island.
Woo!
Yeah. I mean, it was lit. It was lit, and the only thing that was about it was the fact that when we got there, it was kind of like peak time. We arrived at like 1:15. Yeah. We got over by like 1:45, almost 2-ish. Yeah. Because it's a 45-minute boat ride. Yeah. And then they got the cars and all the people. So it took a minute. But once we get off the boat, we find out that, half the island's rented the mopeds. So we're not getting anywhere with a motorized engine. So we thought, our only option was to use the bicycles.
Some people were also a little scared to ride the mopeds, but we ain't gonna say no names.
Yeah, Colleen. What's your problem? We could have waited for the mopeds because we hopped on the bikes, and because our broker was so familiar with the area, he's like, "Yo, let's go over here, let's go over there," and we're like, "All right, bet." We take off from the main area you land at. I don't know.
He knew where we was going.
He said apparently he knew. He's like, "Oh, I've been here before. I faintly remember where stuff is at."
Yeah, when somebody tell you they faintly remember.
Yeah, we should have known.
They don't remember. They don't remember.
Safe to say, we put in at least 2 miles on that bike before we got to the first stop. And by then I was done for. I was tired. And I have footage of all of this, but I realized that the camera had like an anti-flicker or motion on it. So every time it was trying to adjust for motion, it would make the footage like. So I was like, crap, I didn't adjust this before I started recording, and now this is like mostly unusable. But I'll try to see what I could scavenger up and put it in for you guys. It'll mostly be me struggling because I had the camera. So you'll see me struggle terribly.
You still got some footage from the glasses, from the metas.
Yeah, so we do got footage from the metas. I'll throw that in there.
Make sure you get the stuff where I was banging the hood music while we was riding through that super
the airport or the
suburban area.
Oh, yeah.
We was outside riding, and I just had a little speaker hitting.
Straight from the gangsta.
Ghetto.
Anyways, yes. So we had a great time. We biked around the island, to say the least. Right. At least 6 miles by the time we were done. We took multiple breaks, especially me. I had to take them breaks. It's not the problem with Block Island is it's an island, right? It's not mountainous, right? It doesn't have a lot of large hills, but it do got hills. Mm-hmm. Don't get that twisted. They got hills,
and they feel large when you're riding on them. So,
but. Point being, yeah, it's nuts, y'all. It's nuts. Because if you get hit hill after hill after hill, I'm sure there's some people of certain demographics that own a Peloton, right? And if you own a Peloton, if you own a Peloton, you can, or any kind of biking instrument, or you've been to the gym and you've been on the bikes or whatever, and you can turn up the resistance and shit like that. Yeah, that's your willpower or a program turning up that resistance. When you're going up a hill, it's mother in nature. All right, it's just you and that goddamn hill. So if that hill is not working, it ain't going nowhere. You the one that's got to go somewhere.
You know what was really pissing me off?
What?
The bike was confusing in that, on one side, you use the bottom gears to go up gear, but then on the other side, you use the top gears to go up gear. And when we were going up those hills and it was getting steep, when I would try to drop down, I would actually go up instead slightly for just real quick. And as soon as I felt that resistance, I switched it. But imagine, I never stopped on that bike and I kept going.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of times where I was at a major peak and did that dumb shit. And then was oh my God, and switched it down. Then way too low half the time.
Yeah.
And I'm kick spinning, through the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was lit.
Oh,
Somebody was laughing at me because I told them about the bikes.
yeah.
I told them about the ferry, and I said we took like the regular one, not the speed
Not the
ferry.
speed one, yeah.
And he was like, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "Well, our broker pays for everything,
Right.
So
He
we
wanna-
not trying to break his pockets either. Of like, here, let's get
$200.
all the most, yeah, because I mean, with the amount of people it probably still ran him $200 just for the ferry ride. I think it was like $30 a person.
Yeah, like
something
25.
like that. Whatever.
25.
Better than
Yeah,
it was
better
like
than
60,
200.
70 for.
Yeah, it would be like $200-$300
Yeah,
for
it
the
would have been
speedboat.
crazy.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I would have been willing to buy my own speedboat ticket. I'm not gonna. I'll do a week of it. I
Listen.
just didn't want to. We were going as a team. It was chill. It wasn't much. There was not much
Yeah, it
people
was cool.
going. Coming back, I would have bought that motherfucking speedboat ticket.
Coming back, we looked like we was coming into U.S. From Colombia.
Or some shit. We arriving at
some
Ellis
shit.
Island, about to go put our name
Cuba,
in the book.
Cuba. That was Cuba.
Yeah,
Tony
Cuba.
came from Cuba. My bad. Shout out to Tony Montana.
Yeah, but we really looked like we was about to pull up to Ellis Island. We about to sign a goddamn book and say, look, we are first generation immigrants.
Yes, sir.
Because there was mad people on that damn
Buku.
boat. Mad people.
I should have snapped a little pic of that.
Like how many people was on the boat on the way back? I think I don't know if I recorded because it's just too many freaking. Like there's just somebody like within inches of all of us.
Yeah, people were sitting like on top on like the
life preserver box.
Yeah, the little box and stuff, just chilling. Like people were literally. You had two dudes sitting in between each other's legs on the stairs.
Oh.
Very romantic for them, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
You can't sit on stairs on boats. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, that looked
safe.
dangerous. That was a safety hazard.
Yeah, but we had to stand the whole time back. There
Definitely.
was no seats.
Definitely.
I don't know why. I don't know what the capacity is for a ferry, but like you already got boats. You already got cars on the boat.
Right.
And you had like mad more people. And I ain't saying nobody chunky or nothing, but it was looking suspicious. There was a Coast Guard waiting on. I think it was local PD was circling, checking out boats,
Making
doing
sure
spot
we ain't
checks.
drop down into the water.
Yeah. Checking out, making sure it's all right, because they probably know that most people leave the island at the same time, so that they probably know by now. Like they should probably do like patrols,
Right.
in case nobody fall off the boat,
Right.
standing up near the edge.
We got there. We rode around.
Mm-hmm.
We got some ice cream.
Saw some helicopters in the airport.
Yes, some cool ass planes, and just nice scenery.
Overall.
It was a good ride. It was good team building because we had to stay together. We had to push through. It was very reminiscent of the real estate industry, which is a lot of up and down. Sometimes it feels like you're coasting downhill. You're closing a bunch of deals. The money's just flowing. And then other times it's an uphill battle. You're trying to find clients or you're struggling with a deal. So it's very reminiscent of the industry. A lot of times when we do these events, we kind of more chill and hang out.
Yeah.
And this was one where we kind of like pushed ourselves and challenged ourselves. So my happiest part was that when we finished and when we all sat down to eat, like even though like I don't think any of us really expected to like have such a physical day like we had and put ourselves to the test like that.
Yeah.
We talked junk and we trolled about it, but we weren't really upset or disappointed. I think we all had a great time and we were satisfied in ourselves, right? I mean, you did a little bit of complaining about certain things you did while you were riding, but for the most part, I mean, you took the ride, you finished the ride. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's not like you be at the gym every day.
I got like a 10-pound camera bag on me.
Yeah, and I had one of those too. It's probably more than 10 pounds.
It's probably more than that. Yeah, it's more than 10 pounds. Anyways, yeah, I had a heavy ass camera bag. I was upset. Did we use the camera that much? not beyond what I suggested.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, damn, why do I have this bag? Why am I biking up the 60th hill?
Right.
And it is nice outside. I do like this wind, but I'm sweating more than a trucker in a broken AC 16-wheeler. I'm telling you. Very descriptive.
I'm living like that right now. One of my cars got no AC.
Oh,
I'm dying.
my God. That's terrible. That is terrible.
And we
Oh.
going through a heat wave right now in Connecticut. It's crazy.
Yeah, actually, we are.
I jump out the car sweating. I think of lies I could tell people. I'm not really a person to lie, but when you get in a situation where like you're just jumping out of the car and you're just drenched in sweat, and you're someone who's used to like riding around in AC vehicles, it's like, do I tell people I was at the gym? Like, what do I say? Someone looks at me and I'm just like, look like a fiend sweating.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, bro.
You going through withdrawal?
Yeah. Or I'll just be like, nah, my car ain't got no AC.
Nah, you got to ride down with the windows down and all that.
It does not help. They're down. I'm still like that. You know what I found?
Torture.
Here's a tip.
Wow.
If you want to feel a brief amount of coolness in a hot day and you don't have AC, in the middle of that heat, put your windows up for about a minute, and you will begin to profusely sweat. And when you roll the window back down now, it's going to be this gust that hits you that feels so refreshing because of the shit you just did. It's like when they tell you the pool is cold, so go like stand outside in the wintertime first and then jump in the pool.
Scam.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's a scam?
Scam statement. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
I feel like it works.
technically, it brings your body temperature down close to what the water is. So you don't feel that shock feeling when you jump into cold ass water.
There you go.
I understand that. So I get warming your body up. And then technically you're trying to warm it beyond outside. So when the air hits you,
it's not even just that. You know what it is? When you do that, then sweat develops. So now that water when you put the window down, it's like you're wet now. So that it hits more like a cool breeze because of the sweat that you just developed from sun. I don't even know what you call it. Like putting yourself in a box. Like you're in prison for like a minute.
Precipitation? No, wrong one.
Condensation.
I
mean, I guess you could call it
we
sweat.
Ain't gonna pass no high school chemistry class.
Goddamn, we gotta get to the moral of the story of why we came here. So
now, fuck that moral of the story.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're in a bind and you're sweating like a dog, sweat and then go under a fan. Usually would make you uncomfortable as crap because you're like, oh, I'm wet. Nah, not when you're hot and you don't got an AC in your car.
That's real.
That's how you win in life.
Real T. Ryan, tip of the day.
Damn straight. And we were a little bit back to the trip. We were talking about the restaurant at the end.
Yeah.
Most of the trolling was directed at me. And here's why.
Oh, my God.
I decided I wanted to try a full bucket Corona-Rita or whatever. It's a margarita and a Corona in the same. They just literally like put a margarita in the bucket and then they just take a Corona, put it in like in this like little handle thing, and it's like in the drink.
Upside
so as you
down.
drink, so as you drink the margarita, you're gonna get straight Corona in there. That hit me, right? That hit me. I'm not gonna hold you. It was crazy. That was beer and alcohol mixed. And I drank that before they even sat down at the table.
Basically.
they was out there yapping at the bar. They were yapping. I'm saying, yo, I need to get down to business. All right. So I went back. I put that drink away. Folded it up and put that drink away.
Yeah, he did.
And they were talking shit because they were like, oh, you're sauced.
Trash.
You're sauced. I'm like, nah, I'm having a good time. You know what I mean? Like Carnival Cruise good time. But not like the unsavory Carnival Cruise. I'm talking about like the like you're having a good time. You want to keep it going. You might need to switch to juice instead of the drinks.
Yo.
But you're there. You're there.
Get her done.
You know what I mean? So I think that was one of the highlights of the trip, actually. Even though y'all gave me a whole lot of crap about it. And I was about to fall asleep on the way. I did fall asleep on the way back.
Yeah, you did. And that drink was serious, though, and we was out in the heat for a hot minute. So,
but it was refreshing as hell because of that. So
That makes sense.
And I drank all that before I ate. Before I ate.
Yeah, you
that
did.
also was what screwed me. I didn't eat until after. So that shit was already probably hitting my bloodstream heavy.
Yeah, heavy. It was
Heavy.
all that was in there. You
Heavy.
sweated all your liquids out. No water in your body.
That shit just was like,
Just
Corona.
Corona-Rita. Corona-Rita.
yeah, I was sauced, but I enjoyed it because I was sauced.
Right. And he said he wasn't, and we couldn't tell. So,
Yeah, they couldn't tell, but it kept saying it, and it was bothering me.
I mean, we truly believed it, witnessing what you drank, that you had to be. There was no way. That's basically what the conversation was. There's no way Romano is not wasted right now. But he still managed to take my phone and take some good pictures, so we'll include those. You can see he wasn't that bad because he took some great shots. So
Yeah.
he's just, nice under pressure. I don't know.
I'm just saying, it was like a ride. You're like, you go up, 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 and you're like, damn, I might be climbing a little too high. But then you like, it's only one drink. I could have did 2 buckets. I don't know if I would have got back in okay shape, but I could have did 2 buckets.
You're wildin'.
Yeah, on a good day, maybe 3. But I'd go back for those buckets.
Yeah.
What was that? Crispy
Crispy crab.
crispy crab or something like crusty crab.
Crusty, yeah. The name wasn't super appealing, but the food was good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'll find the name. I'll put the name in here. I'll put their logo or whatever. I'll put it in here. They're good. They're good. Yeah, if you ever ride a bike around Block Island, stop there. So.
Well, that's back on the Connecticut side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yo!
Back
There
on the
you go.
Connecticut side. I thought it was Rhode Island, though. I thought we drove to Rhode Island and then
No.
took the ferry from there.
No. You're driving to like a southern part of Connecticut, and then you're taking a ferry over to Rhode Island because it would take like hours for you to drive to Rhode Island from Connecticut. I'm pretty sure you can't do it in 40 minutes. So that's why you take a 40-minute ferry. You kind of like cutting across.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. From my understanding. Tell me if I'm wrong, y'all.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't go to Block Island.
But yeah, so Romano he's admitting that he was sauced right there because he thought he was still on Block Island when he ate that food. He damn sure took the ferry back across first.
No, I didn't say I thought I was. I thought we were in Rhode Island, like a little piece. You know how like some states and towns, states, and even countries, they have like weird cutouts. So like little slivers of like a coast will be another country or another state or another town, but like it won't be that. You know what I mean? So like we crossed into Rhode Island for a little bit. And then
A little
crossed the
piece
ferry
of it.
into Rhode Island further.
Deeper in.
Yeah. Okay. So we may or may not have been in Rhode Island.
Yeah, we weren't in Rhode Island when we ate that food.
You know, now you got. Now I'm
Bruh.
gonna check. Now I'm gonna check. Now it's over. Now I'm checking.
While he's checking.
Because that joint had a long aim.
We wanted to talk about today rentals versus purchasing. Something we've mentioned briefly, like throughout different episodes, but I really want to put a focus to it for a few reasons. Renting or buying a house is very similar to like buying a car, right? In certain ways. My main way is just that there's a certain qualification that needs to be met for you to get financing to buy the car.
Yeah.
So what'd you find out?
It's in Rhode Island.
The restaurant?
Buster's Crab, that's the name of them, is in Rhode Island.
How is that possible?
I'm telling you, yo, sometimes it's weird. They got like weird like ways of cutting out states and stuff. And that part was that was in Rhode Island already. And then if I like zoom it out, you can kind of like see where it stopped being Connecticut.
Come on, man.
See, where the heck is it?
Make sure you show the people too.
Yeah, see, because like the joint is like all the way over there. We're in Rhode Island already.
Down there.
Yeah, and then we like come into
Bruh.
Rhode Island, then down, and then we go over it further into Rhode
Bruh,
Island.
it's on the it's in the
No, that white line cutting up, that's the Connecticut border.
one that's going through the water.
No, that's the ferry route. I'm saying that this white line right here, you see that white line going down? That's the Connecticut border. And then it gets all
Oh.
like squiggly down here, and then over here is Rhode Island.
Oh yeah, cause you know what too I'm thinking about? Yeah, Rhode Island
Yeah,
is
no,
like
I would have thought the
next
same.
door.
Yeah, I would have thought the same too.
Oh,
But
so Block Island is just an island off of it.
yeah, it's still Rhode Island, but it's their island. But we didn't have any area disputes like New York and New Jersey. So we didn't take any islands from them. We should have took Block Island from them. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
hold
we
you.
should have gotten for that.
We should have stolen a Block Island from you. I'm gonna show y'all like this, but y'all just gonna be like, oh, you can't see my screen because it's dark as hell. But I'll put it on screen. I'll put it on screen.
Tweaking.
I'm tripping. Oh yeah, renting, similar to buying a house. No, oops. It's not unless you rent to own. Ha ha! Got them. They
who
thought they
does
had
that?
me.
And who does that? Nobody does that, Romano. Nobody does that. I hate that I even say those words. Those words are like the worst thing I could ever hear because people think it's a way for you to buy a house if your credit is not good.
It's if you have a lot of cash, people.
Right. So, and that's not that. That's like a lease with an option to buy.
Right.
Right? So the lease with an option to buy is not really a rent to own. Well, a lease with an option to buy is a rent to own. What people think they're doing in traditional renting
Yeah.
is not a lease to own and is not how a contract like that would be written up.
Right.
Because to basically rent to own, which is a lease with an option to buy, means you're basically almost like renting the place for a certain amount of years, but somewhere at either the beginning or the end of that contract, you're also negotiating like some type of lump sum down payment,
Yeah.
almost like a buyout bonus for the person to actually make this lease to own
Favorable.
favorable for
Similar
them.
to a balloon loan.
Right, where it kind of like kicks in later really high.
Yeah. One big ass payment.
Right. So, it's a non-traditional thing. When I started researching it,
Yeah.
I didn't run into it based off of rent to own. I ran into it because of learning how to basically do what we would do. Meaning, let's say we were realtors and we didn't have an actual 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You would use things like that to acquire like commercial property or multi-unit properties to be able to buy it without furnishing like
Without financing.
yes, but also to not have to use pay stubs. So like you might get financing, but it's like, you know how they say when you're buying a multi or a commercial, you use the rents as like the income. So because of that, I don't know what that Christian I don't think talks about it. Certain loan type where like you're using the rental income more so you never actually have to furnish stubs for yourself.
Yeah.
It's
so
kind of along the lines of that because if a person has no job and they simply are an investor, they can't show stubs like that. You know,
Right.
they could only show like a yearly income or whatever through whatever projects. So they use a lease with the option to buy to qualify the property for purchase without using traditional financing. So I'm not saying that it's not finance, it's just not traditional financing.
Right. Which makes sense.
Right.
I mean, it's a good workaround for us who gets, well, any independent contractor that has a huge amount of cash sitting around and the ability to make monthly payments, but not the traditional healthiness on paper that a bank wants to see. Or
Meaning credit.
right, credit, the statements like the
Right.
pay stubs like you mentioned, and just the overall like traditionalness. You don't work that 9 to 5, so you need something that'll help you out, and that's the least tool with the option to buy is that way. So you drop a large amount of money up front, and then you do the monthly payments, and as you lease the space, you're using it for whatever business you're doing. I know event spaces is like what we know another realtor does that we know of.
Right.
She does it very well. So I understand that if you wanted to purchase her space or even purchase the whole building, it would be a good idea to have that
Type of
that tool in her toolbox.
Right.
And it's the same with anyone else. So if me and you are looking to buy a commercial property soon, at least with the option to buy.
Right. Not a bad way to go.
Might be using it soon.
Right. So it's not you go into somewhere you sign a traditional lease and then you're telling the landlord, hey, well, I want you to put this rental payment towards the mortgage, and after so many years, I expect you to turn over the property. The reason why I wanted us to do this episode is kind of get away from some of those misconceptions. So I'm really glad you brought up the lease with an option to buy, rent to own.
Yeah.
Because people need to know the difference there. That's very similar to when you're talking about purchasing, where we have people coming to us telling us they want to do auctions, they want to do foreclosures.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at them like, well, you have $60,000 to $80,000 on hand because you're gonna need it to even deal with the hard money lender where you would get the rest of the money for the rest of the project, but you have to have some upfront costs. We've done some things previously, and I've done some things where I kind of use two different lenders to basically grab a bunch of funds, similar to like pulling multiple investors. But that can have its drawbacks. Like, I sold my property and one of my lenders I use is paid. The other one I'm still paying on it now. Because I didn't pay it off when I sold the house. I didn't have to. It was technically like a personal loan.
Yeah.
So because of that, I had no obligation to pay it. So was it like give away another $50,000 out of the profits of what I took, or something slightly less than that, or continue paying on it, make sure my money's right, and pay it out over a little bit of time and stretch it so that I can, either reinvest or fuck over the money that I had, whichever I decide to do. But yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Maybe not the best choice. I wouldn't tell you to do it.
I would recommend backfilling all your debt in relation to a project, like a open and closed book. If you close the book and you have money, that's great. If you close the book and you have debt, you should think again.
Right. And make sure, like, one thing I didn't do is any contractors or things that I dealt with, all those debts were paid. You don't play around with the work. You don't play around with the business. Like, you really shouldn't even play around with the money because you should be reinvesting. But you want to maintain good relationships, obviously, with your contractors, electricians, plumbers, and whoever else you might be using. In my project, I did a asbestos abatement on the siding, so I had some people do removals for that. I explained the situation and the financial difficulties I was having, and I was able to like split a $8,000 payment into two payments and give them some of the money, like, maybe a couple months later as I was getting my stipends. So it's like, it's important to just like maintain good relationships with people and make sure that you honor your word when you're dealing with them, so that when I call any of those guys again for another project, if I need them, I'm sure they will be there because they got what they needed the same way I got what I needed.
Yeah. One person scratches their back and you scratch it for them.
Right.
Really bad. That's not the accurate. That's not an accurate reference.
So, but what we were talking about is the foreclosures and stuff, the auctions. You do need a lot of money on hand. It's normally recommended that if you're not a homeowner, you just use traditional lending the first time. Go for a multi so that you could try to create, equity along with the value in the home, like generating income through the rental, so that you're not paying the whole mortgage yourself. Either way, that should be putting some money in your pocket.
Right.
And then from there, you could use funds like that to stack up to what we're talking about. You could buy another multifamily and reuse CHAFA loans.
Right.
Things, a lot of different.
There's a lot of ways to invest. But today, we're still talking about the renters.
That's
true.
So
if you're an investor and you bought a rental property, then you're putting in renters. And today, we're talking about the renters that go into that. Right. And as we've clarified, rent to own is not common, at least not in the Connecticut market. Some places it might be, but not here. We don't see it often. Maybe it would be great to see it more often. If you do see it often, please let us know where, how often you see it, in what cases, and your experience with it. We'd love to hear about it, and we'd just love to interact with whatever you've got going on, as real estate is our wheelhouse. It's what we do. We'd love to, know more, especially because every situation is so different.
Right.
Every client we work with is so different, and every client that they may be buying from is different. So if you're a renter, I know that there's a lot to go in. There's a lot that goes into it, because even when I get a renter that says, "Hey, you got an apartment available," I have to kind of sit and explain, like, okay, so we have access to a multi-listing service. I mean, I'll cut that short. I say, look, I can get you listings. The only caveat is that, just like how you need a credit score to be in a certain level to get a house, to buy a house, you're also going to need to have a certain credit score to rent a house. Especially from the people we deal with on the MLS, after, I think, COVID, it became even more of a stringent requirement that people are looking for certain credit scores. They want to see that you can make reliable payments, and they want to know that you have no issues on your background. So when we do a formal rental, it is very much the case that you will have to consider your credit just as much as you would if you were trying to buy a house.
Right. Ironically, Romano, which one do you need the higher score to get?
Ironically, I'm pretty much renting. Sometimes, it's a lot of times it's renting. Like, they'll ask, we'll see some people who put out listings and they'll say, "Hey, 650 or nothing," but you could buy a house with a 580.
The 650 was the minimum previously. I think I said on one of the last episodes that they raised the maximum credit score, right, to 850
For what?
for like your credit score.
No, I meant like 650 as in like, I'll
No,
get like
so-
a landlord asking.
Right. So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know how they raised that limit on
Yeah.
the maximum credit score.
Uh-huh.
So now you have to understand, just like inflation, that's
Exactly.
going to fluctuate the market
Yeah.
and what they're looking for. So 650 was before that change.
Mm-hmm.
Between COVID and the new credit like scale,
Expansion almost, yeah.
basically moving from 8 to 850. Now you'll probably find that 650, might be the minimum, but some people are going to ask you for even 700 because a 650 is not a 650 anymore.
Yeah. 650 is like a 550.
Right, or 600, 580, something like that. It's not it.
not in
So,
them ones.
you come to one of us, you want to rent. We usually like to qualify you some type of way to know that you have something within that credit score.
Yeah.
I usually shout out to my boy Rob. I hope he watches the pod, but Rob is a leasing agent.
What's up, Rob?
I work with, like I said, Fabian's super cool. He lets me, partner up with brokerages outside of mine. He knows I'm not going anywhere, and it helps me put my name out there.
Right.
So, but shout out to Rob. We do a lot of projects.
Yeah.
A lot of times our projects, it's something like that. 650. Yeah, about 650 now. He hasn't said anything about 700, but a 650 is a solid number for that.
Right.
But working with him, usually we meet people like that. If we don't, it's an automatic denial.
Yeah.
So who knows what's gonna happen as things go on with that.
Right.
But you just have to know that, and know that if you want to work with us, you're gonna have to meet that criteria. If you do, and way we were gonna say, I was gonna say too, Rob pointed me out, use Credit Karma.
Credit Karma.
Even though it's not super accurate, if you hit me up and you tell me you want a rental, I'll at least tell you, like, go to Credit Karma and get me a screenshot showing me your score
Okay.
as a way of qualifying the person
Okay. That makes
without
sense.
making them have to go run an entire credit check or,
Yeah.
$40 application fee. Because what we would then do is put you on an email list, you would favorite what you like, and then from there, when you see something you like, we would go do showings. But somewhere in between that, we usually would ask you to do a credit application.
Right.
If not, Credit Karma can kind of suffice, but even that can be funny because a lot of the credit analysis services are not built the same.
Yeah. No way.
So a 600 on Credit Karma might be a 580 on a traditional rental application.
Right. And there might even be some scores that are counted that you don't even see.
Right. Another thing on another note, and this is for my agents too. Smart MLS rent spree is very questionable about their scores, and I've
The tenant score.
started using different stuff, from tenant tracks to soft screen. These are all softwares that can be used to generate a rental application.
Right.
An agent can log in, create an account, and then send emails out the same as a rent spree, but they give more accurate scores. Because you and I could run a check for someone using rent spree,
Yeah.
and then depending on the rental, we both know they may say, well, we want this specific thing,
Yeah.
and we won't take anything outside. If you try to give them a rent spree, they're definitely going to tell you no, because they know it's not right. If you get like a tenant tracks, you may have a bit more of a chance because they know that as a well accredited
Platform. Yeah.
for checking that.
So that makes sense.
You
That
know,
makes a lot of sense.
so and I learned it the hard way. I had a renter that we did our application. Then the person asked them to do a Zillow application, which was free. Their score came back way lower, and the landlord actually went back to the client and claimed I might have forged her original application.
Really? With the rent spree?
Yeah. So I called the woman and we had a conversation, and I explained to her that I had recently learned that possibly like the rent spree was not all the way right, and that's why certain people ask for tenant tracks. Someone literally like it happened to me with the same client. Someone before this person asked me to get a tenant tracks. So my client even let me know after the fact, like, yeah, when I did that other one, it was a different score. I had no idea because we simply send them the email. The person goes in, pays the money, gives all their personal information that's required, and the software does its job. I get a copy, they get a copy, and I can share that copy with anyone. I don't even have a way of editing it unless I was just doing some super weird stuff where I was like, download, like forging it using like a Photoshop or something.
Yeah.
But as far as that, we don't have any control over that. But just make sure that if you are working with an agent, you're doing a rental, and they are wanting a rental application, make sure they get you on the best software. So unfortunately, although we use it in the MLS, Rent Spree is not my favorite. I would highly recommend either Soft Screen or Tenant Tracks, especially here in Connecticut.
Yeah. That sticks. Because rent spree can give you weird numbers. I mean, I feel like a big part of the problem is that they don't give you a separate credit score by using the credit bureaus. They kind of add together a variety of numbers on the back end and then give you their own interpretation.
Well, you never know either, because a lot of times what happens when you're running like these third-party applications and a lot of different things, the reason why people get discrepancies in their credit scores across all three bureaus is because I always explain to people certain entities only work with certain bureaus sometimes.
Yeah.
So they may not be reporting to all three. They may be only reporting to two, or they may only be reporting to one.
Right.
And in that sense, you'll have a variance, and you have to know that if there's an issue, to check all three and dispute what is not right.
Right.
So that, I think, plays a role in why some of these credit applications for rentals may not be right, because it's using the wrong info.
Well,
Not the wrong.
I'm also saying, like, the way that rent spree just gives you the information at the end, like you said, you can't control it. They give you one big number that you would think is a credit score, but it calls it a renter score. So it's a completely different thing by title.
Right.
And when people do that, it's because they know that they're probably not giving you a credit score.
Right.
So it's a score probably weighted by your credit and other and other stuff.
Right.
So I'm assuming that soft screen and renter track.
Tenant tracks
By nature give you the breakdown of actual credit scores using stuff from the bureaus, not just a compiled score from their back end.
Right.
That, I think that's the difference, and I was certainly noticing that, and I'm like, I've stayed away from using it up front, and sometimes I'll just try to, like you said, just use a different software.
Right.
That makes sense.
What I try to do is even ask the agent. When I find a place that I like, I ask the agent what's their preference, and then I do my screening based off of that.
Right.
especially if I know it's one that's kind of universally used, then I'm more than happy to oblige. But that's
Right.
also a foot in for working with that agent. You're being
Accommodating.
open and accommodating to
Yeah.
what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then from there, if that looks good, we're gonna compile, copies of everything, ID, social, 1 month's worth of pay stubs.
Right.
I like to scan it all here at the office, put it in one beautiful PDF,
Yeah.
and send it in an email, easy peasy for them to read.
Not complicated at all. Yeah, keep it simple, and especially when, like I said, dealing with renters, like
Right.
it can get complicated. You have a lot of options, and like I said, we do a lot more. How do I put it? Residential rentals, because we're helping people who are renting either their multis, their singles, their condos, or XYZ. We're helping people find these places, these spaces, and we're also helping people rent them out. Just like Ryan said, he's in partnership with another realtor to get spaces that they have on the move. And oftentimes that connects them with other renters who may want a different space. Who knows?
Right.
It's mutually beneficial. But we do have the ability to work with apartment complexes. So that's a whole different ballgame, right? So you're going to be not necessarily doing the checks and all that, because if someone's interested in a complex, they're going to be talking to a leasing agent at the complex. So you, as the person who brought your client to that complex and said, "Hey, this might work out better for you." It's not a gated community, but it's a community.
Right.
They got amenities, they got this. You might like the fact that you don't have to maintain anything on the outside, which generally you shouldn't. But some places, you may be responsible for certain stuff as a tenant. So with a complex, you don't. So we might recommend it, and we'd go with you to a couple showings, and most of the back end stuff is handled by a leasing agent. So don't be like, "Oh, well, my realtor recommended the XYZ complex. We went and seen it a couple times, and they weren't really doing much after that." Well, yeah, it's because that complex has a leasing agent. The leasing agent will be handling all your private information, because at that point, all the liability in terms of your personal information goes to the company managing the property. We will just be doing a simple handoff, and it's not as complex. But again, it might vary depending on what kind of rental you're doing, where you are. New York got some crazy situations. I ain't gonna get into that.
You funny.
But there's levels to this thing. And then if I were to give advice based off what we said, and you're a renter, you're not an agent. If you're a renter and you're dealing with the application after application after application, I'd recommend that you try to find a common trend and stick to keeping one application that you might use, but don't use it for more than a month, because then they're gonna ask you to do another one. Like, you
Right. Yeah.
toss it after a month.
Couple things with that. Application after application is going to ruin your credit score,
Damn straight.
because it's kicking in a few points down every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it can only be used within 30 days. So one time, put that out everywhere. That's why, like I said, pick one.
Right.
Your agent should know what's good. The same way we're sitting here throwing out names of softwares we use, the agent should know what works and what doesn't, what's well accepted and well revered and what's not.
Right.
So, focus
And-
on that. Don't keep running applications, because that's no good.
And you're the people's realtor, right? So even if we were to take an agent out the search, right? You're sitting at home trying to find an apartment because your current one has a hole in the ceiling and water running through your walls, right? You're in disaster, but you're sitting here on your laptop and you're locked in, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm listening to this podcast, and I'm hoping that it's titled Renter something. So I want to find out if they can help me with my search." Lock in on your third-party websites, because that'll be either feeding from an MLS, or you're on Facebook Marketplace, or you're on, I'd say Craigslist, but you got to be careful on there.
So you gotta be careful on Facebook Marketplace too.
True. Yeah.
I mean, all of them at this point
All of
run
them.
some type of
They got some
scam.
kind of scam.
Sometime you have to be very careful.
Big
Don't
advice.
Give away any money for any security deposit before seeing a place and speaking to the agent in charge, and just knowing that it's a legitimate thing.
Right.
There's a lot of scammy stuff going on with that too.
as a person who may be looking to rent in the future, I would advise exactly what Ryan just said. And it's funny because that exact situation, I got a call. I picked up our office phone, Prefect Realty. Lady on the other line is like, "Hey, is this Up Realty?" I said, "No, we're not Up Realty. We are not Up Realty."
Again and again.
You can
and
search that name in your Google bar right now. You'll know what I'm talking about. Up Realty, we ain't got nothing to do with them. They don't got a good reputation. They don't manage their properties. They're involved in multiple lawsuits and multiple police reports and multiple articles. We are not Up Realty. But this really nice lady was like, "Hey, is this Up Realty? Blah, blah, blah." I was looking at a property that was managed by them, and they were asking me to put down a deposit. I was like, "No, this is Prefect Realty. But if you want real estate advice, I would advise you to not put down any deposit on a unit you have not seen," because she didn't get to see it yet. So I would go and see that list, and she didn't get a commitment of any kind.
Right.
So if you're not about to sign the lease yesterday and then put the deposit today, don't give no deposit.
Right.
Right. And if you're going to sign a lease, you make sure you read it. Make sure the property address matches where you're going to sign the lease for. Make sure everything makes sense, because like any other agreement, any other contract, anything, a lease agreement is a lease agreement. You're signing something away in exchange for something. So you're signing your money away frequently every month for the right to use that space under certain terms.
That's real. So
Understand these things.
if you're able to do all that, congratulations. You'll have a new rental.
Right.
And that's pretty much, wraps it up for that part of what we're talking about today.
Right.
If you have any issues, obviously you want to, follow up with your agent. You may need a real estate attorney, depending on if you're having some problems with the landlord. Month-to-month leases are always good. But I get kind of weary of those too, because I feel like month-to-month leases are done maybe by landlords who are going to be quick to evict, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
want an easier way of doing it. So you have to be careful. Month-to-month lease can be dangerous. Makes it a little bit easier to start the eviction process.
Right.
And nowadays, as hard as it is to find a place to rent, you don't want anyone basically rushing you to do it.
Jeopardizing your home.
Time may be of the essence, but you may not have the time because there's nothing there, or you're not getting accepted. It happens. So, don't put yourself in a predicament. That's why I highly encourage home ownership. As someone who's been basically like evicted before, excuse me, I don't rock with that.
Right.
I believe I've actually never signed a lease
Really?
because my mom and I got evicted when I was like 18.
Oh.
For them wanting to sell the place, and same thing. We were trying to move,
Mm.
but we couldn't find a place in time, and so they started the eviction process. And although I had never paid a lick of rent because I had like just turned 18 and graduated high school,
Yeah.
they actually put me down on the eviction. So at 18 years old, I already had an eviction on my record,
Wow.
which was garbage. Like that wasn't even necessary, but they just did it on some like spiteful type stuff.
And people do that often too.
Yeah, shout out to you, the Talbots, Don and Ron, because if y'all didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have went into home ownership so fast and now be a realtor. So thanks, I appreciate that. Sleeping in that basement afterwards, in my aunt's basement with my mom and 3 cats, really inspired me to put my good foot on and go out there and get it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It'd be your haters sometimes.
yeah.
It'd be your ops.
They didn't even know me to hate on me. Like I said, they were going after my mom's. But sometimes people, just like in the streets, you think only in the streets people go after like women and kids. But sometimes in this real world and this commercial industry we live in,
Right.
it's the same tactics. Take you and your kids down.
And from the other side, I know the renters are probably like, "Yo, why are you talking about the other side?" There's another side. If you're doing an eviction, what would you have recommended? Would you have recommended the way they did it or not?
Honestly, the reason why they actually kind of had the right to do what they were doing that I kind of found out later is that my mom was being funny about letting people in, giving access.
Oh, really?
So if you're trying to sell your place and the person living there is not giving access, well, there's only one way to get access.
Damn.
So you get them out of there. So it's partially knowing how to act also as a renter, you know, knowing the proper etiquette. Yes, this is your place that you rent, but it's not your place. So if the people who do own it are telling you they want to secure their place, you know, no one wants to be paying for something that's supposed to be an asset, something that's supposed to put money in their pocket. If they wait for you to leave to show people, then they might lose a month, 2 months, 3 months of rent trying to find a qualified candidate. Nobody wants to go through that. So instead, they'll, you know, knock you out. I couldn't really be mad. Like I said, you got to handle things a certain way.
Right.
You know?
Nah, you real for sharing that, because I meant like, like the formality is that if there's any adult in a unit, you have to put all their names in it, especially in Connecticut.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is because that's what's funny. By me turning 18, I became an adult, and therefore they technically, you said what, had to do that.
They had to do it.
So
So
there you
otherwise
go.
it would invalidate the eviction, because they didn't really evict everyone. They only evicted one person.
Right.
So they completely suck, right? This is just how the law worked, though.
Right.
The law in this case screwed Ryan over.
Yes, sir. But the solution to that is take it into your own hands, become a homeowner,
Right.
And then you don't have to worry about that. And then you're mindful of others that are mindful of you, that you would never do that to someone. But if they put you in a situation where you have to rent a place, they're leaving,
Right.
you know, give access. That's proper etiquette as a renter. You know, give access. Doesn't mean you have to give people every single part of the day, but if someone's trying to sell the property or you're leaving and they're trying to move someone else in, give some time, a reasonable time for that person to be able to show their property,
Right.
so that you're not, you know, taking food out of their mouth. Because once you start taking food out of people's mouth, once they have to worry about their family and things like that,
It's a problem.
as we know, the things people will do to protect theirs is whatever. And an eviction is perfectly legal.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
the situation just absolutely sucks. So that's why you just got to know. Just navigate it, you know. And we're trying to explain to you the best ways to navigate
Right.
it. Be accommodating, because, again, you don't have any ownership interest in the house, right?
There you go.
You give them what they want. And if they act in sus, then you know it's time to buy your own house.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Because you can't always
Right.
guarantee you're going to have a good landlord. But what about buying, Romano? Before we wrap this episode up, we got to take them through the process, a little bit of home ownership and what we do.
What you talking about?
You know, we talked about renting.
Yeah.
We took them through start to finish.
Nah, they already know how to buy. Get your money up. Get your credit up. Call me, and you would have bought. You know what I mean?
And then get your
3 steps.
pre-qual up.
Man, if your money and your credit up, you get pre-qualified.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why calling me. Third step.
Third step,
Yeah,
step number
I'm
3.
being crazy, but yeah, nah, Ryan's right. So you get your pre-qualification done after you get your budget set. You get your with budget being set, you're most likely your credit's going to be looking good, because you would have realized your credit is a big part of your budget.
Right.
'Cause you can't make major purchases without a reasonable level of credit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Fair to excellent. Aim for that gap, that range. You gotta
That's
get
it.
there.
And a lot of the rest of the process is the same. You're going to meet us with that pre-qual. We're going to go shopping, set you up on the emails. You're going to favorite what you like. We're going to go see it. When you see what you like and everything adds up, we run our comps. We're going to put in an offer. And when we win,
When, not if. When.
it's all a matter of time.
Right.
Patience is a virtue. I can honestly say, every one of my clients who I put out in a house recently, the houses are like pretty freshly renovated or seem like in a very well kept condition.
Yeah.
And I'm ecstatic because I'm putting my people in a house that I would love to live in.
Right.
You know?
A couple
So-
times, I'm saying.
But we go that route. We put in our offer. Once it does get accepted, now we're going to schedule an inspection. Your contract may have some contingencies on it. You hit us up, you want to know what that's about, but it's not all about price.
Yeah.
When we're negotiating a house, we can put other things in the contract, whether it's talking about waiving an inspection, which most of us don't do, or, putting what is it?
You talking about a concession?
Nope. I'm going escalation clause on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan of the escalation clause.
Some people don't like it though, so you gotta.
Yeah. Sometimes they
You know
tell
your
you
audience,
can't,
you know?
you can't do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't even do it. They tell you no escalation clause.
Mm-hmm.
The way an escalation clause works is basically you say you're offering an amount, but that's not the final amount. You basically are giving a maximum amount in which you will go to based off the other contracts that are handed in for whatever that property is that you're bidding on. Basically, it's almost like a auto increase for your contract
Right.
that will say you will go up to such amount to beat the highest person. And now, if it exceeds that amount, then your contract is kind of out the window anyway. But if that escalation that you put in that contract sets terms that put you at a higher point than anyone else,
Right.
well, aside from other contingencies that they may have in their contract, you could be a winner.
Exactly. So escalation is know when to use it. I mean, you can use it often though.
Right.
As long as they don't say you can't use it, you can use it often. But there's certain situations where it'll work perfectly, especially when you know there's a certain value limit for an area that no one can pass, and if they pass, they must be crazy because they obviously know what they're paying for.
Right.
So if you can be a step ahead of someone while you're using the escalation clause, you'll get that win. So it's all these strategies that you got to consider as an agent and as someone buying.
Right.
You know, you got to understand why your agent's doing what they're doing, and if they aren't doing what they should be doing, put this escalation clause in, and let's get this house.
Let's get it.
Chill out.
So,
So
and in that process is just a lot of communication. People need to always
Right.
know that we might recommend you to lawyers, inspectors, appraisers, a bunch of different people. And if you decide to go with our people, great. But just know that they don't call us and tell us everything that goes on
Right.
in the process. So if you have any questions or you're struggling with something along the way with any one of these parties, then you want to reach out to your agent and let them know so that they can work with those people to rectify the situation. Because, just like you have HIPAA in the medical field, HIPAA is everywhere. And even in real estate, although we're your agent, we're not privy to every single piece of information that comes. We don't get your income and things like that nature. No, that's for the lender. We do our stuff. But once you've got that accepted, you get that inspection, everything looks good. You get that appraisal to make sure it's worth what you're paying. You're going to spend what? Say, if it's a multi-family house, you may spend like $1,000 on an inspection and maybe another $800 to $1,200 on an appraisal.
Right.
So, $2,200 plus whatever you're putting as a down payment. You may be getting that back in the form of down payment assistance or whatever. That's all depending on your credit and what benefits are available at that time.
Right.
But that's basically the process. Once that appraisal is done, the underwriting team for your lender starts winding down with all that paperwork. You get close to the point of closing. Never get scared if your contract says one closing date and you end up closing a month or two after, because things do happen in this industry. It's part of that uphill hill bike I was talking about earlier where things happen and it gets pushed back and it might get pushed back again and pushed back again. Me personally, I try to communicate well with whatever is the holdup to know how far back we need to go. So I don't have to keep pushing it back with extensions. I can just do it one time.
One jump.
And be good.
Right.
So that's basically the process. You have to dig a little bit deeper with us to really do it. But, we just wanted to give some pros and cons of the process, which I won't say we did a lot. But, if you're renting, pro is you can leave. Your lease is up, you can go. You're not really responsible for a lot of the things there, aside for, your utilities and things like that.
Right, which
in
might be
general,
included in the rent.
yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
general grounds maintenance. But you do risk the fact that you may not want to leave, and someone may want you to leave, and there's not a lot you can do about that if you're not the owner of the property.
Right.
On the other side, if you're a homeowner, yes, you have all the rights in the world to occupy your domicile as long as you're paying that mortgage every month. But you're also responsible for everything else, including taxes and insurance on that property. And if anything breaks, you better holler at me or Romano or someone else at Prefect Realty and get one of our contractors on it immediately to get whatever that is rectified. But to me, just the overall control of home ownership and knowing that as long as you make sure those bills are paid, you don't have to worry about no one telling you whether you can or can't be there. I think it's just important. And we should all want to have a certain amount of control. Same way you go out and buy your car, you don't go out. Most people don't go out and lease their vehicle.
Right.
You know, same type of situation, but no one ever thinks about it.
Yeah. No, couldn't say it better myself. Could not say it better myself. So join us for our $100 giveaway in 2 weeks.
August 13th, baby.
August 13th.
6 p.m.
Yeah. If you want to win $100, we'll be live.
Come with some good content for the good content.
Right. We'll be yapping away. So don't feel like you'll miss out.
We appreciate you guys. Please like, subscribe, and share. We're trying to give this free knowledge to everyone. We ain't taxing for none of it.
Right. So we out of here. This show was